First this morning, the government's plan to remove Treaty of Waitangi obligations from school board requirements has drawn strong criticism from the Teachers' Union, the New Zealand Education Institute. President Ripeka Lessels joins me now. Good morning to you.
Morning. Good morning, Nadine.
What do you make, first and foremost, of this decision?
This is a blatant and deliberate dismantling of the Treaty of Waitangi in education. This is the latest of a line of policy and actions that have happened since 2023 to dismantle the Treaty of Waitangi and giving effect to it in any education legislation.
So, is it racist?
This is a very, very racist piece of policy. It began with the cutting of Te Ahu o Te Reo, which was the language program offered to teachers across the country, the biggest uptake of Te Reo Māori ever in the history of New Zealand through Te Ahu o Te Reo. The deliberate omission of giving effect to the Treaty of Waitangi in the charter schools legislation, the disestablishment of resource teachers of literacy and the resource teachers of Māori experts in their field, frontline service teachers, the removal of readers with 6 common Māori words because children might get confused, and now this.
Right. The Minister, though, is suggesting that it wasn't making any difference to the achievement levels of Māori students, that the boards didn't understand what it meant and how to implement it. What do you make then of the fact that they've simply removed it altogether rather than clarifying, I guess, what implementing it means?
Yeah, there is evidence. We have evidence that that building relationships with communities across schools is the biggest determinant of achievement. It is where our akonga are most engaged in learning when they can see themselves reflected in both the teaching and learning and the environment that they are learning in. We know that for a case. Russell Bishop's research on te kotahitanga already has evidence that actually works. So, but I also believe that the boards have a responsibility, and this removes that responsibility from boards to give effect to the treaty. They are responsible. We are responsible as boards of schools to ensure that our akonga see themselves reflected in the teaching and learning that we give, that we provide for our children.
They can still do that though, right? They're just not legally required to. So surely if they're not prevented from doing it, is what I'm getting at. So is it necessarily such a bad thing for it not to be a line in the legislation if a school can still decide to do that for its students?
You know, I had this conversation with David Seymour a couple of years ago, and I asked him why he was intent on removing this clause from the charter schools legislation. And he's told me that, you know, you don't have to have it in legislation for it to be taught. Well, quite frankly, we've had it out of legislation for 160 years. And I can tell you, nobody taught it. I'm a 50s and 60s child, and I never heard about the Treaty of Waitangi until long after I'd left school. So while you say that, removing it, there's no evidence that schools will actually, well, we've got evidence that they don't teach it. 160 years worth of evidence that they don't teach it if it's not in legislation.
The other argument from the Minister was that this is simply political. There's lots of things she's doing that the union disagrees with. So would you just rather have a different flavour of government? It's not a secret that this Minister is intent on one specific focus for all of education, a one-size-fits-all shoe. And quite frankly, our children are not one size. We have a variety, but she is more intent on making everybody fit into one box and expects that everybody, irrespective of the variabilities that every child comes to school with,
but they would fit into that one pathway. And it is clearly, it has not worked. As a teacher of 45 years, it doesn't work. Every child is different. So you need to take different pathways for every child.
Thank you for your time this morning, NZEI President Ripeka Lessels.